So, what's going on, guys? So, today's video, we're gonna talk about King's Row. Essentially, we're gonna be going through it on the free play viewer, whatever it's called. And the gist of this video is gonna be, I'm gonna be kind of showcasing why I dislike King's Row from attacking perspective, defending perspective. I really just don't like the map overall as a whole. So we're kind of gonna be diving into that. So anyway, so I was intending to make a video prior to this season coming out, which obviously it's a little too late, about the maps and the modes and stuff like that. I figured I would wait to see the new map, and I just kind of scrapped that video's idea entirely, where I'm kind of just going to be showcasing here on Kings Row why I don't like certain forms of maps, because I think that it kind of showcases some of them, although not all of them, but some of them. Specifically, I tend to not like hybrid maps a little bit more. Hybrid and payload maps, I think, are some of the bigger contenders on it. So the first thing I want to specify is I don't dislike the mode itself. I don't mind the payload mode or the hybrid mode. What I personally dislike the most is the maps, right? So we're kind of going to go through here and showcase this. So with Kings Row here, starts almost immediately when we are looking at the first point here, right? Biggest thing I dislike, showcased right here. Kind of. Yep. Let's see if I can pull this up. Get my pen out. I'm going blue. Starts right here. One of the things that makes all these hybrid maps kind of suck is most of them have a singular choke point that you need to walk through. You need to come through here if you want to get to point, which is over there behind me. Now, you can go up here, but most people obviously aren't going to go that way because you have to come through here anyway, right? So you go from spawn, you go up here. Obviously, the people who are here, the defenders, they know you're coming up here or out here, so they're going to pay attention to that. But also, this doesn't go anywhere. I'm going to kind of pull this out here in a second, but this doesn't go anywhere. Of course, there's nothing over here. This is just sort of a back, like, dead area, dead space. You can go back around this way, but it kind of wraps all the way around the building to coming right here. So it doesn't really, there's a mega back here, but there's not really anything back there of substance or purpose. Another thing I don't like is that a Widow can kind of sit up here. Used to be a bigger problem than it is now, because obviously the fall off range is too much to the point where she can't get a one-shot somebody who's on point. And we're kind of going to back up here in a second so I can show you some of the stuff I'm talking about. But, so, anyway, so you kind of see what I'm talking about here. This doesn't really go anywhere. You know, if you come out here, you can drop here, or you can go up here. But yet again, it's really not something that people want to do. Let me try to... Yeah, so you can come out, go up here, and you'll come out over here. Or you can kind of go down this way and attack the people who are sitting over here or over here. Or you can go around the statue to point. Mostly that's what people do, typically do. They kind of come out this right side and they'll kind of come around here to the statue. Because normally there's someone over here that might be kind of poking on this off angle. So mostly people will sort of, the attackers will take a fight with this guy. The defenders who are like over here, or say over here, will oftentimes come back to help this person, or this person might fall back to point. So, and mostly you want to go around this side because the statue provides some natural cover. But then again, this gives them time to move from here or here, and they can kind of start backing up towards point, so they can kind of sit over here and start shooting at you. But at least you have a better vantage point being behind the statue here. You actually have some cover and you're not just walking blindly through a choke point. Mostly, if you come up here and you go this way, or you go this way, or you go that way, you're really only going to do that if you're a DPS player, right? And you're like say on Tracer or maybe Genji, and you're looking to go into the back line for a flank, you might be coming up this way, so you could be soldier and say sit here on like a back flank with hit scan and kind of, you know, rain down fire. Another reason why you might be coming up this way, oops, okay, is if they have somebody on the high ground over here. You might want to come around this way, pop out here to kind of decide to get over here and shoot this person. Or you might be coming up this way because there's somebody on the high ground here. I don't oftentimes see people on this high ground or this high ground, but it does happen, so you might want to go around that way to kind of obviously get going that way. The other option is to be over here and go through the hotel. I don't need to really get out the pen and point and draw, but this hotel is a very bad idea. Obviously, if you are defending, or we'll whip out the pen again. Obviously, if you're defending here, or say up here, and they start going through the hotel, you could obviously drop back here, meet them outside the hotel. Yet again, kind of illustrating the point that I'm trying to make. And that is that in general, regardless of what way, no matter how you, let's see if I can get an above kind of vantage point here. Yeah, that should be fine. Alright. No matter how you try to slice the cards, you got to go through this one singular choke point. Like I said, you're probably not going to go over here. You have to come through here. And although you can come around the statue, you can go this way, you can go through the hotel, you have to go here, which is point. And they can sit here, they can sit here, they can sit here. But you have to go through this choke point. And the reason why that sucks is because it makes it incredibly easy for them to defend this choke point. They can sit here, and they can sit here, and they will sit here. And they'll set up sim turns here, and maybe a torp turret. Maybe they'll put a torp turret in the statue up here, statue. And then their Ana can sit way back here. They can have a Widow over here. They can have a BAP up here. And this Widow, or I'm sorry, this Ana can have Vantage on healing you and have Vantage on healing you. Well, maybe not you. You might be out of LOS, but... So you have to walk through here, right? And you can't get to this Ana in the back line, right? Who's healing the team. And you have to shoot these people. And this is why it sucks, right? This is why all of this sucks. It normally is a pain. And I think one of the major reasons as to why certain people like this mode, or this map specifically, is it almost hard forces Reinhardt, or a brawl style comp, right? You can't really run poke. You can on defense, right? You can run poke on defense. But you're not really going to run poke on offense, right? You know, Orisa just doesn't have the shield that Reinhardt does. And neither does Sig or Ram. They just don't have the beefiness that Ryan does. And this is the Ryan map, right? Like, kind of like Circle Royale is Sigma's map. This is Ryan's map, where there's a reason he dominates so much on this map. It's because it's his map. He's so good at it. That's why he's able to dominate so hard. He has that massive shield, the massive health pool that really helps his team get through this choke point right here. Also, if you're on DPS, you can kind of sit up here, you know, here or something, and kind of shoot over here, kind of shoot down here, kind of shoot down here where they might be. Maybe even try to shoot way back here. The problem is, obviously, you're in a very vulnerable spot, because normally your team is down here without you, and you are up here without any healing, so it's very easy for, say, an Ana way over here, well, maybe not over here, way over here, to just start shooting you and taking you out, right? Kind of go ahead and killing you. So, you're very vulnerable, although you get a good vantage point. It's not really an off angle, especially. Like, this would be more of an off angle where, say, an Ana who is here, or an Ana who's here, who's having to heal her team, who's here, right? You can get a very good off angle here because, like, they're here, or, yeah, the team's here fighting. So she can't, like, stay here. She has to either move this way or she just dies to you. So this is a pretty decent off angle, but, you know, that's considering that you can actually be there, which a lot of times you're not going to. So that is the major reason as to why this map sucks, is the singular choke point, but it's not the only reason, right? If it was just like a singular choke point, whatever, it wouldn't be a big deal, right? This is kind of a big symptom as to why a lot of 2CP maps sucked as well, is it was one major choke point that you had to push through, and then you just got there. Basically, it took the worst parts of the hybrid maps and made them a reality, right? Which is this part right here. Hollywood has a similar thing. All the hybrid maps have a similar thing. But let's kind of move on to showing you guys some of the rest of the map. Then it continues, right? So the cart comes out here, right? Obviously. So this is where the cart comes out, starts going this way. Then we kind of get up here high and sort of illustrate the next big problem with the map. See, this is, let's go a little higher. I'm trying to see, because, like, obviously some of this isn't the map, like this part over here. No, that's the map. I take that back. Is it? Wait a second. No, that's not part of the map. Okay. It's cool, though. It's cool. Alright. So anyway, I'll kind of set it up for another drawing segment here. Kind of want to get a pretty decent... Alright. This is a pretty good vantage point. So, yet again, kind of illustrating the whole thing, you have to kind of come through this choke point, right? The cart is going to come out here, it's going to come up, it's going to go over, it's going to go through this. Which brings me into the second reason why I don't actually like this map. Reason number 2 is that it has small choke points. So, not only do you need to go through here, and there are some other ways, so we will talk about that in a second, right? But it is forcing you down this very small choke point where there is nothing to do. You have to play way back here on defense, so you basically have to let them get all of this. Now, I know you can play here, right? But it's very easy to get past that, and most people aren't going to play there. You also can play inside this hotel right here, right? But yet again, you're also not going to really do that or really see that. So, kind of forces you into this sort of area here. So, I know what you're saying, but you can come out here and go through over here to a possibly little tiny flank, right? Well, you can, you know, get a little off angle on the team here, right? People up here kind of go around, up, boom, kind of get them. You can do this, right? And I will applaud that there is at least sort of a small flank angle. The problem I have with this is, first up, right, it's the only other off angle you can take, right? So, like, if somebody's here, it's not really pressuring these guys over here, right? So, think about it like this. There's a team here, and then you're over here on this off angle. They have both easy vantage on both of you guys, right? Even this person, you know, bam. You can't even contest this person. You have to go way around here, and by then, it's way too late, unless you had time to set up, right? Not to mention, it is incredibly easy to shut down this flank by somebody just being right here, or 2 people being right there. And it's not super difficult between a fight when you guys are regrouping over here for 2 people to just be set up over here, kill you, and then come back over here and kind of double team your team who's sitting right here. So if your team is right here as a full team, it's extremely easy for them on defense to be like this. And now you can't come up on this flank position because there are two people here looking for you to do that. So they're just going to kill you. Obviously, your whole team can't go back this way. I've tried that before. It doesn't really work, right? So you have to be playing on this cart. It provides little to no room of extra areas that you can go. These outside external flanks are extremely long and very televised, right? If you choose to try to go this way, there's like a hallway back here, and kind of pop down here, right? You have to go it starts way down here. I'll show you guys in a second, but it comes all the way down here. Gotta go over here, and you gotta go over here. It's a long flank that you have to set up, and normally you're not going to want to do that in a game because you could be wasting time when you can just be main on a fight, right? So you can definitely play Tracer on these maps. You can play Tracer, you can play Genji, but for the most part, you would probably just be better off running Rein Zarya, Cass, Soldier, or Bastion, and playing main. And then your Ana can just sit up way back here, kind of get a good vantage point. They can have a Widow up here shooting down at you, or an Ashe or whatever, kind of ruining your whole day, you know, shit like that. So, and yeah, you can sort of come through here and go into this room and pop out here, right, and kind of try to sandwich these guys. But yet again, that's assuming that they don't have somebody already set up on this flank, and that's assuming that you can even get over here in the first place. Most of the time, it's not worth it, right? Your team is pushing up here, and they're falling back here, and here's your team. They're going to shoot both of you. Boom and boom, right? You're both really easy in their vantage point, right? So peeking out to 5 or 6 people normally, it's not a very good idea. Now, you can be set up on this flank and have your team push into them. We're going to clear the screen here. Now, you could be set up on this flank, right? Say you're here or back here, because it's like, that's where it is. And they start falling back here and they try to set up here. You could start shooting them, and with this flank, because it's so long, you can essentially back up and they won't hit you. They won't be able to shoot you anymore because you're too far back. But most of the time, it's not going to make sense. Your team is going to be losing the fight over here because it's only a 4v5 or a 5v6 or whatever you're playing. So, you know, and whatever you are, because you're probably a DPS, you're going to be on the flank. Normally, this is not something you want to do. You want to have a flank presence kind of behind here. Let me show you guys that flank that I was sort of talking about earlier. It's kind of going to showcase that if you don't know. So, you actually have to come in over here. You go into a hotel. You have to come up these stairs, right? You have to come over here. You have to come over here. And you can set up here and maybe get some pop shots on people who are, you know, possibly here or possibly here. When you're incredibly vulnerable here, so they can easily just shoot you. Shoot at you. This kind of makes it weird. There could also be somebody over here who is also shooting you. So, typically, yet again, this is not a position that you want to be put at because you are incredibly vulnerable. And this high ground is not incredibly lucrative because it's hard to get to. And it's incredibly easy for them to be killing you and shooting at you and bring you dead. So, obviously, we have that. So, here it is. And then you come out over here. To which you can go over here, position here, and finally get a decent vantage point on their team, who is possibly going to be set up here. You can finally shoot at them and start dealing a decent amount of damage. But the real question is, who are you on, right? If you're on Tracer, this is a little bit too far for you, you know. If you're on Soldier, this would probably be fine because you can sort of run up here. So basically any hero who would have a decent time getting here because they have mobility things like maybe Echo or whatever, or Genji or whatever, is not going to have a good time because this is sort of a little far of a distance for them. Similarly, this team here can just back up and all shoot at you, essentially. And the reason why that's such a problem is because if your team is, say, back here, right, and they're trying to push these guys, them falling back relieves the pressure of your team, right, because now they're not. So it's not like there's not like a 5v6 going on over here, and you're sort of just on the flank shooting at them, giving them some back pressure. They back up, and it's a 1v6 to which you die, leaving your team down a person, right? I know it might sound like, oh, you're explaining the fundamentals of, flanking and what's wrong with it. Well, no, because outside of that, you have to walk down this corridor with the rest of your team. There aren't really any off angles that you could take. You're either here with your team, or you're over there on a flank, or you're up there on a flank, right? And the defenders have a huge advantage. If somebody sets up, say they set up right here, or right here, they could easily back around this corner. This person can easily go in here, and there's a mega down here, which I can show you in a second. Whereas these people have to come out here to fight these people, and you have to sit because there's no cover over here. Well, there's cover right here, and that's it. And there's cover way over here. So there's some cover right there or way over there. If you are, let's show you. So you come up here. If you're right here, which is very likely, you're probably dead. This person, like for you to be at a position to shoot this person, you need to probably be right here. The problem is, this is too far, right? They're not going to let you get that far. This is also too far. You can possibly go here, but because of the way this hallway is set up, they don't lose vantage point on you, so they can still just sit here and shoot. But what if you start killing them and getting them low? Well, they can just pop behind this corner right here, right? This corner, and start going this way, because their Ana is probably going to be set up around the other corner that is back here. So their Ana is going to be set up here, and you are going to be, say you're here. And they're coming up, and they're coming up, and they're coming up. You can just continue to fall back around this corner, right? So this person needs to lose line of sight for their Ana, who's, say, they're way back there, right? They need to follow you around this corner, right around this corner. And their Ana's here. Their BAP is here, right? Somebody might be here shooting down at you. So basically, you're coming around this corner and peeking into the rest of their team, where you're losing sightline on your Ana or BAP or whatever healer you have or whatever the support you have. It is extremely hard to make it through here. However, there's a big caveat. It is incredibly easy to get team kills. I don't know why I had to write that out. Because of these long hallways and these long corridors, it is incredibly easy to kill people like that. If you throw a D.Va bomb right here, they can't go here. They're not safe here, right? Obviously. So they have to they either have to go over here, which obviously you could just shoot them, or they have to try to back up this way. There's a hallway right there, like back here off screen. Or they have to hope that they can make it way back here. There's also sort of another bend off. And the reason why that can be so effective is if you manage to, say, throw something right here, right, or right here, the defenders have nowhere to go, right? They either have to try to make it back this way, which is a hallway, so they need to get, like, deep down this way, or they can try to make it all the way back there, which is probably not going to happen, right? Or they can try to run for this hallway, which just makes them run into you, or they can try to run around the corner this way, which probably isn't going to happen either. Basically, if you're not on Reinhardt or Zarya, it makes you vulnerable to a lot of stuff like this, which yet again I think forces the idea with this map that you need to be on Ryan Zarya, or just Ryan in general, maybe not Zarya, but just Ryan, because this is the definitive brawl map. This reigns supreme, and personally, I am not a giant fan of that. The reason I'm not a giant fan of that is because personally, I don't agree with a lot of people. A lot of people will say things along the lines of, well, Reinhardt should be hard meta. You know, maps where he's meta are good. When he is meta, the game is good. I fundamentally disagree. And then, of course, you have this area over here. Yet again, I mean, you can try to go on a flank. You know, you can try to flank around here, and some people will do it. A lot of people will do it, but yet again, it's not super effective considering that you have to peek into their whole team, and you have a long hallway to go down to retreat, right? So say you're getting focus fired and you're dying, you have to go way all the way back here, right? Or you can go this way, which is into their team even more, or into their spawn theoretically, right? Yet again, coming out around this corner, not a very good time. It's really tight, right? There's not a lot of room for activities. You know, you kind of get trapped easily by ults and stuff. Also, the defenders get given a fairly oppressive high ground up here. It is very simple for people to sit up here and just shoot down, or even sit up here and shoot down, and you can't do anything about it. The only way to contest this high ground is to either A, be on somebody who can contest high ground, so like a Pharah or an Echo, but then again, you're kind of vulnerable to that, right? So somebody could just fly up there. Or you have to come up here, right? And then possibly shoot them down from over here, or get over here and shoot them from over here. Of course, the way you get over here is by this long flank we talked about earlier. But you can go down this hallway, come up these stairs right here, and come down this hallway as well to get here. So at least it's not as inaccessible. The problem is most people do that. People will set up here, and they typically won't allow you to get up here because they know that that will kill them. But if they do, this person just has very easy vantage on you, and they'll kill you. And obviously going up here is kind of similar because their whole team is probably right here, so they'll just start to shoot you as well. You can't really come around here because it's not viable. So most of the time, like per usual, walking it down mid is really the only strategy. You need to play with the team, and you can't really take an off angle. You can't really do any of that stuff. Coming on to the last point here, it is a very similar problem to what we saw earlier. Except this time, it exclusively talks about all of the problems that I sort of dislike more so on payload maps. Extremely oppressive high grounds, and a very long corridor that you need to sit in. Yeah, so this map I can't get up above. Let's see if I can show it to you. So, makes this map suck. Well, you can have defenders sit up here. You can have people, especially supports, like to sit up here. They'll heal them. The team is here. They'll heal them. They'll heal the team. DPS are here, and they'll of course just have free reign up here to shoot at you. Also, pit, Roadhog, people over here can just boop you into this pit, or hook you into the pit, dare I say. Not very fun. Now, there are 4 possible angles for them to be on defense. They could be here, they could be on this high ground, they could be here, or they could be way back here. If this person is supporting the team, it is practically impossible for you to get way back here without them seeing it. You could go way over back here, and then through here and try to get up there, but they're going to see that. Obviously, you can't run through here because this is the whole team, and there's DPS up here. It makes it incredibly hard to dive this because, of course, team, all of that stuff. So let's see if we can back up and see what you get on an attack. There you go. That is essentially what you get. If that is not the grimmest picture I've ever seen, I don't know what to say. One long hallway. Here's a little bit of cover, and you're basically going into 4 different positions. You have to be here, right, as a team. Now, yes, you can go over here, but yet again, if you're here or here, you are extremely vulnerable to their team, who is right here. You can go up here, but then you're extremely vulnerable to the person on high ground, who is over here. This person will sit here, and they'll shoot you, who is sitting over here. Little Susie over here is going to murk you. And you are going to be dead and in bronze. The flank route that exists is incredibly televised. If you are going this way, it is extremely obvious, right? You're coming here, the team's right there, you're all the way over here, they can still see you, and then you come all the way over here. Now you can sit here and here. Yet again, if you are right here, and the whole team is theoretically right here, they are just going to shoot you dead. Not very mojo of them. Let's look at all the advantage that you get from this high ground over here. I honestly don't know why more people don't sit on this high ground, but it is incredibly amazing. So you're on this high ground. You can heal somebody who's over here, or shoot somebody who decides to dive up to this high ground. You can shoot somebody who comes out here, and then of course, you can shoot the attackers when they decide to come out this way. You can heal your team who's down here or down here, and of course, any wimpy attacker that decides to go on this long flank over here, not super long, not as long as the other one, and decide to be here for some reason, yet again, you can just shoot them dead because you have great vantage points of them. So, to kind of cap off my video, I don't know how long this is going to be, of why I dislike this map. Super long corridor, very oppressive high grounds. There's only really one lane that you can go down. And in terms of why I dislike a lot of other payload maps, is you typically have to get off the payload to fight the people. There are a lot of other maps that I could have illustrated this point better on, but here's kind of the gist of the example, where it's not like the best. If the cart's here, and they're up here, you have to get off of point to contest these people. They lose nothing, right? If they kill all of you, they stop cart progress. If you get off of point, it's still a success because you have lost cart progress. You need to sit here and take it from them raining it down from up here. The reason why that's so horrible is you're not actually fighting on point, you're fighting off the point. And you're not even really fighting for this position because you can't sit here as attackers because you have to be on the cart to move it. So basically, you get off point, take high ground from them, and then you get off point, or off high ground, I'm sorry, and go back on point, and they can go up on the high ground again, and you have to do it all over again. You have to give up the high ground, which is the advantage, to be allowed to push cart, and it is very annoying. Also, this map specifically has areas where you can kind of get pooped off, which I don't really mind. They're not super horrible. Like Ilios Well, I think is like worse for it, but it's just sort of another cherry on top. So, very impressive high ground, very long sight lines. You know, kind of going back. I didn't really talk about the high grounds on first point here, where essentially an Ana or maybe even a Widow can sit up here and kind of boom, boom, heal people. Or maybe even back here's a great vantage point where she can pop out and essentially Yana can sit up here, carefree, heal the team down here, help the people who are possibly coming from a hotel, help the people over here who are coming through this choke point. And of course, in order to get to her, it is very inconvenient. You either have to be on a flyer, so an Echo or a Pharah, which makes you very vulnerable, or come around this long flank, so you gotta come over here, and you gotta come over here, and obviously by the time she knows that, she just drops down here to in a hotel, where yet again, you have to come down here into the whole team, and try to kill her, which is not gonna happen. She's gonna get peel, and you're just gonna die. Very frustrating, very annoying. So, extremely impressive high grounds. Narrow hallway that you need to go through, very little off angles, or, you know, other sides that you can take. We oftentimes talk about the 3 lanes, right, that you can take on maps. So, you know, 1 lane, you know, maybe another one, so 2 lane, and then a 3rd lane, right? So you can kind of come over here to kind of spice things up. On this map, nope, it is 1 big lane that you have to go through. Makes it incredibly easy to defend because, of course, you know they have to come through here, so you just sit here and shoot them. And they have to go here, right? They have to go through here. They have to go through here. They have to go through this, right? Because like this isn't really gonna work, and this and that and that and this and whatever. Obviously, there's nothing over here. Like I said, there's a mega back there, but there's nothing over there. On this map specifically, I think they do a horrible job at that. I do think that there are some maps that do a pretty good job at it. Some maps do a really good job at it, and then other maps do a really bad job at it. Mostly, for the most part, maps that do a good job are all of the control maps. Maps that do a really bad job are all of the payload and hybrid maps that all have very small corridors that make Widow very good. There's also no cover. I don't know if you noticed this, but if we kind of look at the first point here, outside of sitting here and sitting here, on this actual point, which is right here, you kind of only have this car and this phone booth, and then this corner. And you're not going to sit behind this phone booth. You're not going to sit behind the car because it's not big enough. It's a small car. So you're going to have to sit behind here, or give up point and sit way back here, which unironically most people do, because obviously trickling in over here from this one big entrance makes you extremely vulnerable to just getting shot. This map is extremely easy to single-handedly or single target pick off people and really easily roll them and stagger them and do all of that stuff that you can do, obviously, when that's happening. I know I keep saying to recap, but now I'm really actually done with the video, right? So, oppressive high grounds, one singular choke point that you need to walk through with very little cover, or a very small choke point. The defenders have a lot of advantages with the corners and the ways that they can play with the high grounds inherently and stuff like that. It forces a singular style of play, with Reinhardt being the main focal point, where you can't really run brawl. You can run dive, but you're probably not going to. Or I'm sorry, you can't really run poke. You can run dive, but kind of can, kind of can't. You're going to probably have to run Reinhardt. And that's what makes maps like this, hybrid maps and stuff like that, boring. Specifically, it's what makes Rialto boring. Or Kings Row boring, this map that we're on. Which is why I don't like it. Now, I wanted to get this video out prior to the update, which went out yesterday, but I decided not to. And the video was going to be different. So, this isn't like 100% motivated by a bad game I had on Rialto, on Kings Row yesterday. It's not motivated by the map pool voting, although it is partially. It's not mostly. This is not a video me hating on the map voting and stuff. But at the end of the day, I want to leave you with this. I really don't care. All of the stuff I mentioned, it's still a video game. I'm still going to play the map. Sure, I would rather play another map, but I really just don't give a shit. If I cared that much, I wouldn't be playing it. I wouldn't be making a video. So, yeah. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you next time.